Let's talk about fan art! So before I go on my usual rant, I thought it would be fun to actually show you a piece of fan art. So the time lapse you're going to see is my interpretation of Maggie, the main character from Assassin Roommate by Monica Gallagher, which is a webcomic. It's free, it's online. I'll have links in the show notes wherever you see this, so you should definitely check it out. Monica's work in general is amazing, and this comic is really good. If you like feelings and emotions and relationships and punching, Assassin Roommate is for you. It has all that stuff all in one. All right, so on to the ranties. Sometime last year, and I think it was around convention season, when convention season was just starting to ramp up, there was a post that went viral, and I didn't look it up, so I don't have the exact wording, but the gist of it is that artists, you should be doing your own original work. Fan art is beneath you. And though I kind of understand the sentiment that this post was written from, the wording came off as elitist and snobbish and was pretty bad. And the entire art social media sphere kind of went in on this post and called it out for being bullshit and elitist and stupid, not only from amateur artists who use fan art to get noticed, but from a lot of professionals who basically said that of course you need to do fan art. If you're trying to get a gig at a big publisher like Marvel or DC, editors want to see how you draw their characters. They want to see if you can handle Spider-Man swinging through the air, or Wonder Woman punching somebody, or how you draw Iron Man's armor. You know, they need to see that you can do their characters in a way that represents them well. And if you hand in a portfolio of your original works, if you're not going for a specific creator-owned project, they're going to be like, well, this is really pretty, but, you know, can you draw Superman? Can you draw Iron Man? Can you draw Wonder Woman? I mean, of course you can, but if they don't see it, you know, they can only go off what they have in front of them. So if you're trying to get a gig at a publisher and you're drawing their characters, you got to draw their characters. From a web cartoonist perspective, fan art is kind of how we greet each other. You know, sometimes web cartoonists need to take a break from drawing the comic, whether there's like a major life event, or they're going on vacation, or they're going to a convention and they're backed up or something like that, and they need help. And so sometimes there'll be a call for guest comics. And that used to be a really good way for web cartoonists to meet each other. You know, here, I did a really cool interpretation of your characters. And then, you know, you feature links to each other, and that's how you build sort of like an online art community around your comics. If you're an unknown artist and you're trying to get noticed, fan art is an excellent way of getting your stuff out there, because, you know, people are usually searching for characters that they know, characters that they're familiar with. It's the same as a young artist trying to make it in the music industry. One of the best ways to do that is to release a cover song on YouTube or on Spotify or on SoundCloud. And that gets people listening. Oh, I really like their interpretation of this song. Maybe they have some other cool stuff. So fan art can be a really great teaser into the rest of your catalog. If someone likes your unique interpretation of a familiar character or their favorite character, of course they're going to want to see the rest of your stuff. They're going to be more inclined to check out your website, rather than if somebody just saw a random sketch from somewhere. Now, me, as an artist, I prefer original works. I prefer looking at people's stuff that comes out from their own heads. I do appreciate fan art, and I like fan art where the artist takes the time to put their own spin on something rather than just drawing off model and trying to match what's already out there. But in general, I personally prefer original works, but I'm not going to shit on somebody for doing fan art. Fan art, I think, is a very important part of the process. It's also a good chance for an artist to try out a different technique. Maybe you don't want to spend time thinking about an original design, so fan art gives you a perfect platform to try something new. Like maybe if you're a traditional artist, you want to try your hand at something digital. Well, you know, Spider-Man is waiting there for you to draw him. So you can worry about how you translate your techniques into a digital sphere rather than also worrying about a character design. Fan art can also lead to professional gigs that are not in the comic sphere. I know a few artists who have drawn fan art of their favorite drag performers and have gone on to actually work with those performers, doing official artwork for them and posters and other designs for them. I know of one artist who's done fan art of her favorite young adult novel series, and now she's doing actual covers for that series because the author saw her work and was like, oh my gosh, you need to draw my covers. So never discount fan art as a means to sort of build your career or cultivate an audience. I think it can be a very powerful tool if used wisely. Now, should you sell fan art? That's a whole entire different discussion, which I'm about to get into right now. So let's say you go to a convention and you bring prints of Black Panther because you love Black Panther, because everybody loves Black Panther, and you've done a pretty interesting interpretation of it, and you got, a stack of prints and you're going to be selling it at the con. That's illegal. Unless you get explicit permission from Marvel and a license from Marvel that says, hey, I'm allowed to draw and sell my own versions of Black Panther. You're breaking the law. Will Marvel give a shit? Probably not. Even if you go to San Diego Comic-Con and you're selling your own prints of Black Panther and Marvel has their booth like down the aisle, they won't care. They're not going to send you a cease and desist. And hell, maybe an editor is going to come by and pick it up because you actually have made an amazing Black Panther print. It's still illegal, but as far as Marvel or DC are concerned, it's kind of a unwritten rule that they're okay with artists selling interpretations of their characters at conventions. It's wrong, and if they slap you with a cease and desist, they're in the right. But for whatever reason, Marvel and DC feel that it's okay for people to sell their own stuff. It gets a little dicey if you do that stuff online. If you try to upload Marvel fan art to a lot of these print-on-demand places, some of that stuff will get taken down. I think Marvel's gone after Redbubble and Society6 and some of these other print-on-demand places. Selling it online is a bit more tricky. The companies tend to actually care about that kind of thing. But if you're in person to person at a convention, even if Marvel and DC are there, it's illegal. But as far as I know, in my history of doing the shows, no one's ever been shut down for selling Marvel or DC characters. People have been shut down for doing stuff at anime shows because sometimes the license holders will go through the artist alley and say, you can't sell this, you can't sell that, you can't sell this, and they'll tell con staff, and then you'll be forced to either leave the show or just not sell those specific things. So anime cons are a lot more vigilant about their copyright than your traditional comic convention. If you get a private commission, if somebody is commissioning you to draw them a thing or to paint them a thing or do some 3D modeling of a thing, that's another kind of gray area. You're technically not allowed to do other people's stuff without a license or permission. But if it's for a private collection, no one's gonna stop you. But selling fan art in general can be kind of tricky. The screwy thing is, if you are a young artist and you're just starting out and you go to a comic book convention and you bring nothing but your own original works, unless you're at a smaller con like a small press expo, chances are you're going to get lost in the shuffle. A lot of these bigger shows, like your San Diego Comic-Con or your Baltimore Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con or Awesome Con, if you're not showing some fan art on your table, people are just going to walk past you and not care. You will find a handful of people who are interested in new stuff, who are there to find new and young creators who are not well known. But by and large, if you're going to one of these bigger shows, one of these multimedia shows, if you're not slinging some fan art, you might get lost in the shuffle, which can be really disappointing and depressing. But that's just how the market has trended these past couple years. So in general, fan art is awesome. I think it can be very helpful for you in your career. It can be helpful for you to get your name out. It can be helpful to get eyes on your work. Doing other people's stuff can be awesome. Drawing fan art of your favorite wrestler or your favorite artist, that can be awesome too, because that can also lead to other things. Selling fan art, that's up to you, man. Like you're rolling the dice anytime you do. Just because Marvel and DC haven't gone after people in the artist alley doesn't mean they won't start sometime in the future. So if you're building a business model around going to conventions and selling fan art, you might want to maybe rethink that. Maybe put in some of your own original stuff, or like do an interpretation of that character that can never ever ever be confused with something that they would publish. Like there was a guy who was doing really cool Japanese block prints of video game characters. Well, that's not something Nintendo is ever going to produce. I don't know why, because that dude is making shit tons of money off of that stuff. If you're going to be selling fan art, I would encourage you to make your interpretation really unique. Don't just draw Spider-Man. Draw your version of Spider-Man, whether that's like a super steampunk Spider-Man or like a Gundam-inspired Spider-Man or like a Kamen Rider Spider-Man. Something, make it unique. Don't just draw straight off the model. Try to spice it up. So those are my current thoughts about fan art. I am in support of it. I get kind of bummed out when I go to conventions and I see people selling it, but I completely understand why they're doing it, and they're selling better than I am. I'm one of those stubborn people who's like, no, I have to do my own original work, and you know, that's why I don't do so many anime conventions anymore. But yeah, in general, I think it can be very helpful for you as a growing artist to try out new techniques or to get new eyes on your stuff. So don't let people shit on you because you're doing fan art. That's fucked up. So that's gonna do it for this round. Hope you enjoyed watching me draw mags, and check out Assassin Roommate, links below. And yeah, I'll check you next time. Bye!